Hello quilting friends, my name is Pam Hultgren Klein. Welcome to my sewing table. Today you will probably notice that I am surrounded by a kaleidoscope of color. And you guessed it, that's what we're talking about. Kaleidoscope stars. 8-pointed stars and 6-pointed stars. I have had several friends say to me, Pam, you have a trick for creating these stars. And I do, and I would love to share it with all of you. My trick to begin with always involves Sharon Hultgren's tools, the Easy 8 and the Easy 6. In our video today, I plan to show you how to make use of those tools in creating these beautiful stars. I also know it is very important to select the correct fabric to create your stars. So we'll have a conversation about that. Do you know, almost as important as in picking your star fabric is picking your background, or we call it secondary fabric, because if you pick the right secondary fabric, the stars themselves become the star of the quilt. So it's super important to have that conversation as well. I know when I go to my quilt shop, I really need to know exactly how I'm going to purchase this fabric, because when we're creating stars, we don't purchase by yardage, we purchase by repeat. So we'll talk about that. And finally, and probably most importantly, how do you actually cut the fabric that then becomes these beautiful stars? We'll talk about cutting the repeat panel, cutting the strips, and then eventually cutting those diamonds that become a star. I look forward to this video today and is sharing with you my secrets for creating Kaleidoscope stars. The very first step when we want to be successful with our Kaleidoscope stars is to pick the correct fabric for those stars. Today, I just went into my stash and picked out a few different fabrics that I think would work quite nicely as a Kaleidoscope star. When I'm looking at fabric, I look for a couple of things. The very first thing I look for personally, I want a rather plain, almost boring background on the fabric. If you look, this is just an off-white behind all of these cute little objects. Then I look for variety. All right, and let me tell you what I mean. This sweet little dog is as cute as he can be, but if he were repeated here and here and here and here and here, I would not pick that fabric because it's too much the same. But because he's got his buddy here, there's a little girl with a kitty, there's some children over here, there's even a car, even a couple of other things. There's another different dog with his doghouse. Because there's such variety here, that will make a really cute star. Because I think you can already see there may be one star where the puppy's kind of sticking his nose out at everybody. And there might be another where the little girl looks like her string is making maybe even a circle around the whole star. You don't know exactly how it's going to come out, but the more variety you have in your objects, the better off you'll be. The next thing I notice is the repeat of the pattern itself. So here's our cute little puppy dog right there. And I can go all the way down to about here before I see him exactly as he is repeated. So that means my repeat is about 15 inches, which is excellent. That gives me several rows for cutting diamonds and making stars. So for me personally, I look for plain background, variety in the pattern design, and I look for a pretty decent wide repeat. Once we have picked the fabric that we say, hey, you know what, this is going to make a really cute Kaleidoscope star quilt, the next thing we have to do is think about what is that secondary fabric going to be. And that's the fabric that will go around the edges of our star, be it a 6-pointed star or an 8-pointed star. You need that secondary fabric. This is a tricky thing because some people kind of want it to really blend with their primary fabric. And I will tell you right now, I think you'll be disappointed. You want contrast. Let me show you what I mean. Blending with this cute fabric might mean grabbing a cream colored fabric. But if you look at that and I put a cream fabric next to the fabric that's going to be our stars, you almost don't see it. It's almost like one runs right into the other, and that's exactly what's going to happen after you've gone to all the work of cutting and sewing those stars. So you want there to be contrast because this will just blend too much and it won't be fun. Let me try something else. What if we said, well, okay, we can't blend, but I'm really nervous, so I don't want there to be a lot of contrast. Well, okay, what about kind of a muted green? That is definitely better. I like that better because now I see the little girl, I see the puppy dog, I see the clear edge of what will be a diamond. So that would work. If you're brave, you might say, you know what? That little girl's red dress is adorable. What if we grabbed a red and we put the stars surrounded by red? Look how much fun that is. The dog stands out. The little girl stands out. Everything really sparkles. That would be a very bright quilt, but oh my goodness, it'd be so cute, right? Now there's also other choices, like that little boy has those cute blue shorts. Maybe you're not quite brave enough for the red, but you're thinking, well, what about blue? And you see, again, the blue works beautifully because there is such contrast between the background fabric and the fabric that you're going to use as your secondary fabric. You really need to be sure that you've got great contrast in order for your stars to pop out. The other day I was in my local quilt shop and I saw this fabric and I thought, you know what? This will make a great Kaleidoscope Star quilt. Let me show you our reasons why. We talked about how we want a solid background, and that pretty navy blue is very solid. We've talked about a variety of design, and I see many different things going on here, and variety of color even. So some green, some pink, some purples, some blues, and I can just see a wreath going on or a floral bouquet going on once we start spinning those stars. So this is going to be my fabric. I purchased 8 repeats of it, plus about a yard extra. And then I had to pick out my secondary fabric. So I auditioned a couple of pieces, and I want to talk to you about that. The first thing I auditioned was this white. And white next to it looks very nice. It would work. But I want this to be a little spunky and fun. I'm anticipating this going to a young lady that would look at that and say, that looks like my grandma's quilt. So we're not doing the white. Then I thought, well, there's pink in there. We could pull out the pink or purplish pink. That looks great, but I do see a few places where it's going to blend too well. And I'm still thinking we can add a little more life to this. So then, you guys aren't going to believe this, but I pulled this off their shelf and I love it. Check this out. This pulls out the little bit of yellow, or some people might say chartreuse color. It does have a little bit of the pink, and it is alive. And I am so excited to use that for my secondary fabric. When I went to purchase this, what I knew is that if I do the largest size diamond with my Easy 8, I am going to be able to get 16 stars out of those 8 repeats. I bought 2 yards plus a little bit extra just in case. So this will be the secondary fabric that goes around the stars for this particular Kaleidoscope quilt. The method that I'm going to use today to create our Kaleidoscope Stars will make use of Sharon Hultgren's tools, the Easy Tools. We'll use an Easy 8 to create an 8-pointed star, and we'll use an Easy 6 to create a 6-pointed star. Now, when we use these tools, you will notice that each of the diamonds have a little bit of a different effect. With an Easy 8, the diamond itself is narrower, but it also allows you to have 8 repeat designs. So the design itself will be repeated 8 times in each star because we're using the Easy 8. All right. The Easy 6 is a broader, wider diamond. You'll only have 6 repeats, but you'll have more design within each single diamond. So it's really up to you which one you want to use. I'll show you both ideas, and then you'll get to decide for yourself. One thing that would probably be apparent to you is that if we're going to do an Easy 8, we need 8 repeats in our fabric. If we're going to do an Easy 6, we need 6 repeats. So the next thing I thought I'd do is take you over to my cutting board, and I want to show you how I would purchase the fabric that I'm going to use based on either an 8 repeat or a 6 repeat. I'd like to welcome you to my cutting table for a minute because I want to spend a moment talking about how I would purchase my fabric that I'm going to use for my Kaleidoscope Star. If we say this is the fabric we're going to buy and we're sitting at the shop, the first thing we have to think about is, am I planning to do an 8-pointed star or am I planning to do a 6-pointed star? If I'm doing a 6, I need 6 repeats of my print plus a yard of fabric. If I'm doing an Easy 8 or an 8-pointed star, then I need 8 repeats plus an extra yard of fabric. So I'm going to sit at the cutting table right at the shop, wherever I go, my favorite quilt shop, to pick out and decide how much of this I need. And trust me, the wonderful people at your quilt shop have seen this before, so they won't be shocked when you say, can we count the repeat? They'll totally know what you're talking about. Okay, so let's say that this little girl on the top of her head is going to be the top of our panel of repeats. We're going to go straight down the fabric until we see her cute little head again. And from this point to that point would be considered 1 repeat. I'm going to say I'm doing an 8-pointed star. So I need 8 of those. So I'm going to go 1, and I'll hold it right there, and I'm going to slide up. And like I said, these people at your fabric shop know what you're doing. They won't be surprised. Here's 2. Keep going. There's 3. Keep going straight down. There's 4. Keep going. 5. And keep going. Where is she? There she is. 6. And I think I see her. She's kind of hiding from us. And there's 7. And there is 8 right there. Now, I got to 8 repeats, and then I think you heard me say an extra yard of fabric. That's a cushion. That's just so, what if I change my mind and I don't want to cut it right at the top of her head or whatever. It also gives you plenty of fabric for your borders. If you say, oh my goodness, I got to the end of the bolt and there isn't a full yard, but you know you have the 8 repeats and you have some leeway, you're fine. I would just go to her and go to the shop owner and say, this is what I need, and then they will measure it out by yardage so they know how to charge you. That's how you purchase your primary fabric that will help to create your Kaleidoscope Stars. So we're back at my cutting table, and we are ready to take the big first step in creating our 8 layers of panel for our Kaleidoscope Star. The first thing I will say is when you work with this, you cannot have your fabric folded in half. You need to work on a single width at one time, and it kind of is a half width really. And that width can't be longer than your cutting mat. Whatever your cutting mat is, that's the width that you want to work with. For me, I have a 24-inch cutting mat, so I'm not going to work with more than 24 inches at a time. And really, that's enough to handle at once. So I don't recommend going much more than that. So to do that, then that means we have to cut, or in my case, I rip half of the fabric away. So I literally take the end of my fabric piece that I bought that I know has all of my repeats that I need. I look at my mat and I kind of go from edge to edge. I see where 24 inches is, and I just do a little snip out on the edge. And then from there, I grab it, and what I simply do is rip straight up. And I know for some people that really makes you nervous, but the honest truth is I've been taught that will rip it right along the grain where you need it to be, and it won't go kittywampus. It should go straight up right where it should be. And if you go end to end, then you'll have one piece that isn't double layered and isn't wider than your mat. And now I'm ready to cut my panels to create my Kaleidoscope Stars. In order to get our 8-pointed star that is a kaleidoscope, we need to cut 8 panels in exactly the same place. So now that we're dealing with half of a panel of fabric, or half of the fabric, this is not double layer, it's single layer. The next thing we do is line up the selvage edge with the edge of my mat to get us started. And our very first cut is going to be perpendicular to that selvage. I'm going to use my easy ruler, my big 24-inch, that's about the same width of my panel, because if you remember, we ripped it at 24. I'm going to pick out some spots on the edge of my fabric that will work as, like, we'll say landmarks, okay? So when I'm glancing at this right toward the edge, I see this little flower right here, and it has like a V peak right here. I'm going to make sure that my ruler is set right at that peak, at that spot, okay? Then I'm going to slide down this way a little bit with my eyes. And I'm sorry if you can't see it well, but there's a blue leaf right here, and I have the edge of the ruler right at the edge of that blue leaf, and I'm going to go a little bit further, and there's a light blue leaf right here, and I'm going to have the edge of my ruler right at the top edge of that light blue leaf. So I have given myself 3 landmarks. I have cut my panel in the correct place if I'm at that V, if I'm at that peak of the blue leaf, and if I'm at the top edge of the light blue leaf. If I'm in those 3 places, then I'm going to dare to cut straight across for my first cut in creating my panels. All right, so here we go. We're going to hold down firmly with our left, well, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to hold with my left hand and start and go all the way across all 24 inches, and I have my very first cut. Now, I gave myself this little bit of a lip, if you want to say, for a couple of reasons. First of all, that just was a great landmark to grab, but I'm going to use it for a secondary purpose in just a moment. All right, so now let's slide that fabric down, down, down to where we see the repeat. And I know I'm looking for that little leaf, or sorry, that little flower and the bigger pink flower. So let's go down, down, down till we see, there they are. There's the little flower and there's the big pink flower, okay? And when I see those, then I'm going to get my ruler, and I seem to remember that I want to be at that, where that V of the flower was. That was my first landmark, so I set my ruler there. And then my next check spot was that dark leaf, the top of that dark leaf, and my third check spot was the top edge of that light blue leaf. All right, I have all 3 spots right where I thought they should be. And here's the interesting thing. Remember that little tiny bit that was left over? If we set that on top of our ruler right at the edge, if we have our ruler placed correctly, it almost should look seamless. It should be like, yep, that's the right spot. So it's kind of a backup plan for making sure that you're in the right spot for your cut. All right, so we'll hold it firmly. You can do a double check again. I'm at that little elbow or crick, whatever you want to say. I'm at the top edge there. I'm at the top edge there with the light blue leaf. And I'm going to go hold firmly and go edge to edge, just like that. And now I actually want you to see this. I have my first repeated panel. Here's the whole thing. That's one repeat. And I need to make that same cut, continuing up my fabric until I have 8 panels just like that. I'm going to jump ahead now, and I have all 8 of my panels cut. They are all cut in the exact same place as I just showed you, and now I'm ready to stack them so that I can cut my diamonds. When I go to stack them, I do a general lay them down on top of each other first, get them what I think is probably pretty right. You can even start to check the edge, and you'll see, boy, if you keep looking at the same spot, it's sort of like those cartoons when we were little, when you'd flip through, and they should be pretty much in the same place. There's another thing that I do to get them, make sure they're even closer to exactly in the same place, and that's to pick a spot. So in this blue leaf, I'm going to pick a spot and poke it with my pin just at the head of it. And then I'm going to take one layer at a time and go through. I'm going to poke that one, and I'm going to grab that one in that same spot. And I'm going to grab the next layer, grab that through. Oh, good. It's there. It's right there on that point. And go to the next one and grab that on the point. Go through the next one. It looks like it's right there. That's good. That's encouraging that we are stacked correctly. And go to the next layer. And friends, yes, we are going to be working with 8 layers at a time. This, you're going to need a little muscle, but you can do it. I'm going to pick that little spot right there. Keep going with my pin. Good. I'm still in the same spot. That's encouraging. And I think I've got one more layer to go. There we go. One more layer. And it was right there. Okay. And then if I poke that straight through, go back to the top, and I put that pin in so I know that's in the exact same place, it is probably not going to be by the minuscule exactly in the spot, but it is so close and it works. It still works as a kaleidoscope quilt. So now I'm going to grab my pin, and this pin I know is holding all those fabrics together in just that exact spot. I'm going to gently try to get this from that side to that side without moving or wiggling it, and we're going to say that spot is good. I've done that in about 4 places on this panel. You could do another one if you're more comfortable with that, but 4 seems to work for me. Going to lay it down flat, give it a little tug on both ends. So I'm pretty confident that this is stacked about as precisely as I can be, and I'm going to be okay with that. Then I just need to clean up this bottom edge a little bit, so I'm going to give it a fresh cut. I'll use the line on my mat. I've lined it up pretty perpendicular to the left edge of my mat, like that. And then we'll grab our ruler, and I'm going to line it up so that I can just clean up that bottom edge with a regular ruler. And then I'll show you where we go from there, because that will be the end of the regular ruler. Go edge to edge, get a clean cut, use your muscles, go slow if you need to, push down hard with your non-cutting hand so that your ruler and your fabric don't wiggle. So pushing down firmly, keeping fingers out of the way, and keep going firmly all the way to the end of the fabric. Okay? And when you get to the end, then you should have a nice clean cut. Oh, I have a little corner here that needs to be dealt with. There we go. All right. And when we've got that, like that, there we go. I can lay it down flat. All right. And we are ready to cut diamonds. Next big step. We have decided we're going to do diamonds with the largest size that we can with our Easy 8, which means a 4-inch finished edge to the edge of our diamond. So we need the entire width of our Easy tool, our Easy 8 tool for creating these diamonds. So we lay the tool so we can read the words Easy 8 straight down on the fabric, and we bring it out to the edge, way out here to the edge of the fabric right there. And I've got the bottom edge of my tool along the bottom edge of the fabric, all right? And then I'm going to hold my tool firmly, and I'm going to cut through all 8 layers. Sorry, I'm going to cut through all 8 layers of fabric. There we go. Slowly and carefully so our tool doesn't wiggle. And I'm going to get almost to the point of the tool. And now, obviously, I still need to go further. So here's what I do. Do not pick up your rotary cutter. Leave it right where it is and slide our tool down. I still have a pin right there. I'm going to pull that out now. All right. I'm going to slide the tool down, down, down until it's at the edge of my rotary cutter. Okay. And now I'm going to hold my tool firmly again. Bottom edge is still exactly even with the fabric. And now firmly going through all 8 layers. Keep cutting, keep cutting, keep cutting. And just to get to the edge, I'm going to have to do that one more time. I'm actually going to slide a little bit this way. There we go. And I'm going to slide my ruler or tool down so it goes over the edge. And then I'm again checking my bottom edge is even. I never moved my rotary cutter, and I can go all the way to the end. And that's how you can use your Easy 8 to make it all the width of our panels for our Kaleidoscope Stars. All right. I will tell you, when I do Kaleidoscope Stars, I deal with one strip at a time. So I know that this panel still has a couple pins in it. Might even decide to add one more pin up here, just really gently so that these don't get moved anywhere. And I'm going to set this to the side so that I can work with one set of strips at a time. So here's the strip set that we just cut. If we peek, we've got 8 layers all ready to make diamonds, right? We cut them using the width of our Easy 8 tool, like that. And we were able to read the words Easy 8, so we knew that we had the right tool. We were doing the right width. Now, to cut the actual diamonds, we actually flip the tool the other way. And now we see there's where it says our finished edge of our diamond is going to be 4 inches. It tells us that right in that spot right there. So we slide this tool all the way to the end of our strip. And I'm going to move this so I'm sure you can see. I want to be sure that you can see clearly what I'm doing. I'm going to slide it to the end because we need to have that first cut that creates the angle of the diamond. Okay, so holding firmly, I have the tool along the bottom edge of the strip. I'm going to hold the tool down firmly with my non-cutting hand, and then I'm going to cut at this angle all the way across the strip. Cut firmly because you're going through 8 layers. And now I have the point of our first diamond. All right. So then we take the tool and we just slide it in, and we slide it until the edge, the 4-inch edge, is at the edge of our fabric. We can see 4-inch at the top because we are doing the 4-inch wide. All right. And then we hold that firmly and we cut. And always my temptation at this moment is, okay, I have one. I want to see what it's going to look like so badly, but I also should probably get the other ones cut real quickly. So I have those nifty little pinchers, and I just grab them and pinch them together so that they don't lose each other. I'll slide this down, holding them all together so they don't wiggle. And now we can cut the next one. We're going to slide the ruler into place. It goes along that 4-inch edge, just like that. Okay. and hold it firmly in place. Make sure we have it firmly in place and cut our next diamond like that. Grab a pinchers and set that to the side. Grab the next one. This one will be interesting. We basically have a big flower. That'll be like a bouquet. All right. The angle that says the 4-inch angle is at the edge of the fabric. Hold it firmly and cut. And I'm thinking that I can get 4 diamonds from this single strip. Just like that. I have one more. And my reward for getting 4 cut is I get to play with this one. All right. So watch. Let's get this one cut. All right. It's at the edge. Hold it firmly. And cut through all my layers like that. And then let's try it. If this is going to be an 8-pointed star, we should be able to say, what would happen if we put the pink toward the inside? Let's see what happens when we spin it all the way around. Just like that. And ta-da! Pretty sure we're going to have, oh, you guys, look how pretty this is. A lovely star made of pink flowers and green. Oopsie, that one went backwards. Make sure it goes the right way. Here we go. Oh, I like this. This one's going to look so lovely when it's all together. And then there we go. And that's what you're going to do to get all of your stars cut so you're ready to sew together your Kaleidoscope Stars.
To learn my tips and tricks for putting together an 8-pointed star, please be sure to check out the video called Dusting Off Your Easy 8. You will find it at our channel, My Sewing Table.
Now it is time for us to cut our fabric for a 6-pointed star. And the more I looked at this sweet fabric, I realized I want a 6-pointed star. I had mentioned to you earlier that with an easy 6, we get a broader diamond. And I want to get as much of each of these characters into a single diamond. So we're going to do a 6-pointed star for this one. To begin with, we need our repeated panels just like we did for our easy 8. To begin with, I ripped my fabric all the way down so that I can deal with a single layer at one time. That's the width of my cutting mat. 24 inches seems to be just about perfect for cutting our Kaleidoscope Stars. Then I'm going to pick out some landmarks, I call them landmarks, that will help me ensure to cut my panels in exactly the same place. So I see the top of her little stocking, and I'm going to place my my tool at the top of her stocking right there. I'm going to notice, let's see, where is another good spot? Oh, look, the top of his ear just hit. So if I've got the stocking and the top of the dog's ear, that seems to be pretty good. All right, maybe I want a third spot. That might help. If I can see over here, there's the edge of a tree, kind of a little indent in the tree right there. That might make a third spot. But let's do the top of his ear, the edge of her sock, like that, and the crook of that tree. Those are going to be our 3 spots. Okay, so then I'll hold firmly. For me, I'm holding firmly with my left hand because I'm right-handed, and I'm going to cut all the way across from one end to the other. And when I get to the other end, I'm going to first of all take this piece. Oh, looks like I missed just a tiny spot. There we go. I'm going to take this piece, save it for a moment because we know that helps as a reference point. Okay, and then I'll put that over my shoulder. Let's use the little boy. Okay, and we're kind of looking for his shorts again. So go down, 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 down till we see his shorts again. And then we'll lay out our fabric like that. And we'll grab our ruler. And I personally use my easy ruler, 24-inch by 6.5. I'm going to go to the top of her stocking. I'm going to go to the ear, the pointy part of the ear of that dog. And I'm going to go to the crick of that tree. I think I have my 3 spots. Then I'm going to take my fabric and see what my little strip, remember that was my reference point? If I slide that right to the edge of my easy rule, do I get almost like a seamless line, like a seamless design? And if I do, I am, that's just like a second check to see I must be pretty close because that looks pretty good. Okay, so then I'm going to cut, hold down firmly, cut all the way across. And I have my first panel that will be part of a 6-pointed star. All right, I need to cut 6 of these for a 6-pointed star. So I'm going to set this panel to the side, and now I'll pull this down, looking for his shorts again. Here they are, right there. Pull up, let's see, get my ruler ready. And let's see if we can line it up one more time. The top of her stockings, right there. The ear of the dog, the crook of the tree. I think we've got it. Okay, just like that. Hold firmly with my ruler and go all the way across. And I have my second panel ready. Now, when I have all 6 panels cut, then I will be ready to cut my 6-pointed stars using my Easy 6 tool. We've stacked all 6 layers. We've got them ready to go. I've made sure as I stacked them that I had little landmarks in exactly the same place, all 6 layers going all the way down like that. Now you can use the pin trick again, where you pick a spot and you put the pin straight down, so like maybe at the tip of his tie, straight down from the tip of his tie, and we can see, do we have the pin still right at the tip of his tie? And we sure do. And if we go down another layer, do we have the pin right at the tip of his tie? We still do. And you can keep doing that all the way down to the bottom if that makes you feel better about, I really do have it stacked as close as possible. Once we're confident about that, then we're ready to cut 1 row at a time. I'm going to use my Easy 6 to make 6-pointed stars. I am going to use the 4-inch finished edge. Okay, so the 4 inch is the biggest diamond on an Easy 6 because I want as much of the character inside my diamond as possible. Okay, so that being said, I lay my Easy 6 down on my fabric so I can read the words Easy 6 just like that. I lay the bottom edge of my ruler along the bottom edge of my fabric and slide to the end. Now we have this first strip, and we're going to cut our diamonds from this first strip before we cut more strips. I do that just because all I want to give is little chance for wiggle as possible. Keep these together as a solid bunch, so it's better just to keep working with this exact group. Now I am going to be honest with you, I'm looking at this very cute little guy right here and thinking, I want him to be a center of a diamond so badly. I really do. So I'm going to do something that they call fussy cutting. And it wastes a little bit of fabric. I will admit that to you. But right now, he is just so cute. I have to have him in there. So I can see the outside edges of my 6-pointed star diamond. And I've got him fairly close to the center of that, if you notice that. All right, if I went way to my edge of my fabric, I'm going to get his arm in one and I'm going to get his forehead in the next. I want him in there. So that's a decision you make, and you say, do I need more stars or do I want the cutest stars? In this case, I want a cute star. So we're going to put him right there. And by doing that, I will lose a little bit of fabric on this side. I am going to cut this side first because I'm not exactly positive of where that's going to go. So we're going to cut this first. So in a sense, I'm kind of showing you another trick. If you want a fussy cut, this is what I do. I've got all 6 layers. I'm going to press real firmly so that I get my clean cut. And then what I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to hold these tight together and spin it around so that I can push my Easy 6 4-inch edge to the edge of my fabric. I know that top edge matches. I know that bottom edge matches. And now if I hold firmly, I can cut one more time, and then I've got my little boy right there in the center of that particular diamond. Okay? So that being said, the rest of your diamonds, you can keep doing it that way. Like I said, you'll lose a little bit of fabric, but it also might create some really fun ones. I will say though, sometimes like this one, I'm going to leave this one as it is. So with my Easy tool, originally we had cut our width of our strip by looking at Easy 6 and seeing those words. To cut our diamonds, we turn our tool over this way so we get a nice angle. That's a 60-degree angle. We lay it down on our fabric. We cut the initial cut out on the edge like that to get started. And now we can slide our ruler in, and every time we get to the edge, we're doing 4-inch, so this is the 4-inch edge. Then we can hold steady with our left hand and then cut and have another diamond ready for a kaleidoscope block. All right. This one should turn out kind of cute because it should be all about that little girl and her flowers. So let's slide the ruler down. Let's line up the edge right there. Okay, I know my bottom edge is even with the fabric. My top edge is. The line on my Easy 6 tool for a 4-inch diamond is even. So I'll hold firmly and I'll do one more cut right there. Okay, and there she is. She's going to be so sweet. All right, and then we get one last one. And I have a feeling that she's going to be in the center of our diamond also, which is great. So we'll slide down our tool. We've got the 4-inch edge. We've got the bottom, the top. We're going to hold firmly and cut like that. And now from that single strip of 24 inches wide, I got four sets of 6. So I'll have 4 6-pointed stars. All right, next step would be to cut the remaining strips, cut the remaining diamonds, and then we'd be ready to put our 6-pointed stars together.
To learn my method for putting together a 6-pointed star using Sharon Hultgren's tool, the Easy 6, please check out the video, Dusting Off Your Easy 6. You will find that at my YouTube channel called My Sewing Table. I look forward to seeing you there.
Today I was able to share with you my tips and tricks for creating an 8-pointed Kaleidoscope Star quilt or a 6-pointed Kaleidoscope Star quilt using Sharon Hultgren's tools, the Easy 8 and the Easy 6. I want to really encourage you to give this a try. I know you hear me say it often, but Really, these are some of my favorite quilts to make for a couple of reasons. First of all, it is such a fun surprise. Honestly, you could pick out your fabric that you're going to use for your stars, but you will not know exactly how those stars are going to turn out until you've cut them and you put them together, and every single one is different. It makes it so much fun. So I want to encourage you, give it a try. I know your friends will be very impressed. And as always, have a wonderful day and get sewing.